when I went through my divorce, I needed help really bad. And I could not afford to go to therapy for $200 a pop every other week in order to heal. Like it financially was not an option for me. And I had a great therapist, but it didn't work for me. And I was there at my therapy and I was like, this doesn't work for me. This doesn't help me. And I searched and I searched for people to help me in a way that I needed help. And I couldn't find it. It was all fluff. Like I needed something tangible to grasp and I couldn't find it. Like I just couldn't. And there are so many people online that have such great information. And little by little, I took all that and I created a healing plan for myself. And I want people to have this information because it was so hard for me. And I can't imagine if I didn't have the information that I had, how I would have healed. I have been in the energy field and the personal development field since I was about 16 years old. So I've been in there for about 25 years. And I have so much information on how to heal the body, how to heal the energies, how to work in the metaphysical world, and how to recognize patterns. But it was a different, going through divorce. I live in a community that not a lot of people go through divorce. There's not a lot of single people in my community. And my family, like my brothers and sisters are married. My parents were married. My situation was very different from a lot of people and that I know, but I know it's not very different from what's happening in the world because mental illness is real. And my ex, who he knows that I do social media, by the way, and he knows that I'm going to talk about this, and he's very comfortable with me talking about it. So my ex has mental illness on an extreme level. He's bipolar with psychotic features. He was on the wrong medication and it created our divorce. We did not have a good psychiatrist at the time. And so there wasn't a lot I could do when people are like, oh, you should went to therapy. You don't understand. You can't go to therapy with somebody that's psychotic. It doesn't work. And it took him about 5 years to get stable. So when I talk about this, these are things, I went through some really heavy stuff with my ex and through divorce and stuff like that. And I had to come to grasp with it really quick because I knew who I was divorcing wasn't the man that I was going to stay divorced to over a period of time because I knew he would get help. So I created my own healing plan and I'm going to share that outline with you. I'm giving it to you free and I have lots of information in each one of these categories. One thing I will say before I start this, talk therapy, you need to have talk therapy somewhere in your life, whether it's family, friends, a therapist, whether you're just going to therapy to just talk, like go and talk. You can't bottle the emotions up. You need somebody to voice this. You need to get it up and out of your body, up and out. And so with that, I have actually, I think the video says 10 ways. I actually have 12 steps, not steps. They're not steps. These are not, you have to go step by step through. These are pick one or pick them all and work on them. So this is the first one. And I think this, actually they're all, I needed all of them. That's why they're in my plan. But this one is so important. And I think the most important to all of these steps are being consistent and being dedicated to fixing your life and to upgrading your life to a new level. I don't believe that our life, just because we got divorced, that we need to go into this societal weird vision of that we're just going to crash and burn because we got divorced. No, that is a horrible way to look at stuff. And I believe in continuous improvement. And I think divorce is a circumstance. It's a circumstance we can either choose to let us drop in life, or it's a circumstance that we can increase our life. It's a circumstance. So, okay, we're going to start. Step one, find 5 to 10 minutes a day to unwind and to connect with yourself. Yes, men, this means you too. You need to find a way to connect with yourself inside, which means you need to connect your mind with your heart. Find what you're feeling inside. Find the anxiety that's inside of you and learn how to calm it down for 5 to 10 minutes. Whether you get on YouTube, there's 1,000 different meditations. Get on YouTube, meditate, take a hot bath, take a hot shower. Do something calming to connect with yourself. I did this a lot. I listened to a lot of meditations, like even when I was mowing my lawn or doing dishes or stuff when I wasn't around my children, I would listen to positive things. And I have to be honest, I never did this before. Meditations, even though I'm in the energy field and have been for a lot of years, meditations were not something that I did, but it's something that I had to do because I'll teach you why I do so many meditations. I had to create a new thought of myself, a new vision for my future, and I had to do a lot of meditations. But that's not what like, it can be a part of your 5 to 10 minutes, but the biggest thing is to connect with that feeling inside of you. Okay. Number 2, I keep glancing down because this is where my notes are. 1, just really quick, I'm not really good with technology, so you get what you get, okay? Okay, just throwing that out there. Okay, number 2, give yourself grace about what's happened over the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, your past marriage. Give yourself grace about what's happened. Let yourself know that you did the best that you possibly could in the moment that you were doing it. You can't go back and recreate it, but you have to learn when you're feeling that, the first thing that I told you, to feel it, you got to learn to give yourself grace and be like, it's okay. Like, it's okay that I was there. It's a part of life. It's a part of learning. It's a part of growing. So give yourself grace to understand that you went through something really hard and you're trying, because if you're on this video, you want to create something better. And so give yourself grace to know that, yeah, I had a really crappy past and it was really hard and whatever happened, but I can create something new in my life. So that's number 2. Number 3, you have to help yourself understand that you're divorced. If you can't come to grips that you're divorced, you need to come to grips. That should be like in order to move forward, you have to close the past. So this is what I did. I repeated it over and over and over in my mind. I'm divorced. I'm divorced. I'm divorced. I have to heal. I have to accept this. I'm divorced. It's okay. And for me, I had to heal. I'm divorced. It's okay. And I know my ex is going to heal and get better and probably have a hard time that we're divorced at that time, which he has. But we're working through that. And it's not that we're getting remarried, but it's that I, 2 years ago, had to accept that I was divorced. I had to accept that I was now a single mom. I had to accept that I was now a single income. I had to accept that this was my life. I had to accept that everything that I had built up to that point in the marriage was no longer. I had to accept this. And I also accepted the things that I grew from in my marriage. I also accepted those things. Not only was I divorced, but I accepted the great things that happened from my marriage. So help yourself understand where your circumstance is at and be okay with it. And that's a hard thing to do when you're going through such hard, deep emotions. Like, give yourself grace that you're going through those emotions and that you're helping yourself heal. Like, give yourself grace on those things, okay? Okay, the next thing kind of goes with number 3 is number 4. You need to come to the realization that you're going to have to rebuild your life. You have to rebuild what you once had. And the great thing is you absolutely can rebuild your life. You absolutely can. You might start out in a smaller house. You might start out in a smaller apartment. But guess what? When you first got married, you did too. You can rebuild. You can rebuild and you can create an amazing future for yourself. I believe this. I believe that you create it in your mind and then you create it in your physical world because that's what you did when you were younger. You knew what you wanted. You created it in your mind. You went to school. You got a job. You did all these things. You created your home and then you got divorced. And now you're just going to create your home again. You're going to start over and it's okay. You knowing what we know now about the medical physical world, we know how to create stuff. Like it's not a proven fact because scientists are really weird about stuff like coming out. It's a proven fact. No, but it is proven that our minds create. That's where creation starts in our mind. Okay, that's where it starts. Just start creating. Be okay with your emotions. Be okay with your circumstance. And if you're not, tell yourself, I'm working towards being okay with this. Okay, so number 5, we are going to start looking inward at the things that you can control. There's a big saying, control the controllables. Okay, what do I mean by that? So your mind likes repetitive things. Your mind likes to know what you're doing. And right now, if you are watching this, you're a little, I don't know what I'm doing, because I was there and I'm still kind of there. But these are the controllables that I sat down. I was like, what can I control? You can control how much food you eat. You can control how much water you drink. It's an easy controllable. You can tell your mind, look, we have the very foundation of our physical needs met. You can control how much you indulge in this social media world, right? You can control that because if you're scrolling, okay, let me just explain this. If you're scrolling through reels, your mind can't grasp on your attention span is so short. You want to stop your mind from being short attention span. And so you want to sit down and start creating with your mind. So control how much you're on social media. I'm not saying cut it out, but control it. Control the times of the day that you do it. Say, okay, I'm going to give myself 5 minutes a day to do social media. And that's it. Or 10 minutes. Or just enough to watch Sherry on YouTube. That's a great idea. Okay. The next one is sleep. And I know after a divorce, I didn't sleep. Like I probably went months without sleep, but it was the one thing in my life at that time that I could control, that I'm like, I am in bed for 8 hours a day. And I have made that a repeated thing in my life. And the great thing is, if your energy is like, well, I can't go to bed till midnight and I wake up at 5, that's because your energy is set to that. You can reset it to, I'm going to lay in bed for 8 hours a day, whether I sleep or not sleep. That's what I did, and I was really good about it, and it helped me in a lot of ways. So the next thing, you can control how clean your house is. You can control that. You can start organizing a drawer a day. You can control that. You can say, okay, I'm going to focus on this. That's something you can control. You can control how much you exercise. And if you don't have time to exercise, if you're like, I don't have time to exercise, guess what? You have enough time, because you're watching this video, you have enough time to sit down and do 10 push-ups, 10 squats, and 10 lunges. Like you have time to exercise. It doesn't have to be 90 minutes a day of walking on the treadmill. It doesn't have to be going to the gym for an hour a day because you're a single parent. Your time really is shortened because you're cleaning the house, cooking the food, running the kids everywhere. Like there's things that you have to do, and yeah, give yourself grace on that stuff. But control what you can control. It doesn't have to be that you're like perfect in all of it. I'm going to work on food and sleep for a minute a day. I'm going to work on how much sleep I get. I'm going to work on how much I'm on social media. Like you can set 1 minute goals a day. It helps you, I promise. Over time, it helps you. Okay, number 6. You're going to start creating new patterns and new habits, because the patterns and habits of your past are not something that worked out, right? Like you're divorced. I'm divorced. No matter if mine was based on mental illness or not, I'm still divorced. Some of those patterns didn't work for me. So if you were married for X amount of years, I was married for 22 years. And there's things that I have changed and there's things that I haven't changed. There's some things that I can't change yet because I'm still in my marital home until my kids are raised. And so there's some patterns that I just can't change, and I don't want to change because I want to keep my kids stable as much as possible. But start with scratch. I'm already creating. I already know I have to leave this house, and I already know what I want to create. Even if it's a smaller version of what I have, I'm okay with that. I'm creating what I can control. And it doesn't mean it's permanent. It means it's the next step in my life. So, okay, so I want to talk about So this one kind of encompasses everything, but it is what I searched for some idea on how can I do my life? How can I start creating? Where do I even start? I didn't even know where to begin in order to start creating a new life for myself and new ideas and new thoughts and new patterns. Like I didn't know where to start. This is where I started. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's where I started. It's from, I don't know where it's from. I don't know, back in the early 1900s. He created it, but it's still foundational. There's only one thing that I would change on his pyramid of needs, and the foundation. So the foundational one that I'm going to add is God. God should be in your foundation. Now, if you think universe, I don't know what your thing is, but you need to come to terms with God. You need to have prayer in your life, meditation in your life, have an idea of a deity. I do. I'm very strong with my thought and my communication with God. And I have to be honest, after my divorce, I went through some hard crap with communication between me and God. And I had some really hard conversations with him. And it's God, and I'm willing, and I just have a vision of who he is, that he's a loving Heavenly Father. And so I was able to talk to him. Not everybody will have that view that I have, and that's okay. You can have whatever view that you have, but have a foundational. The next thing is your housing. So you're going to focus on your housing. And then the next step is, I'm just making sure I get this right, your security and your safety and your job. And then the next step is your love and belonging and your self-esteem. And then the next step is the potential that you can have in life. So I didn't focus on one of these at a time. I have made a list of everything that I need to do in each one of those pyramids. And I focus on the bottom one the most, then the next one the most, then the next one the most. And when I say what I mean by focusing on them, I create them in my mind. I create what I want from each one of them in my mind. I journal on it. I talk about it to myself. I know I talk to myself, but I've had to. I have to create new stories. So go look up Maslow's law and start making yourself a list and start making a checklist. Like, I have this, I have a house, I have a job, I have this. And if not, the great thing about this is you don't have to focus on one of them. Because if you're moving, maybe you're moving and you have a job and you have a house and you have all these new things, and you can just be like, I can go all the way up to the top of the pyramid because I have all the bottom ones. We do live in modern society where our needs are pretty met. So in order to do this, in order to create this, there's a bunch of different ways. You can write down a new story of what you want to happen. Write it in the future. You can create a vision board of the things that you want. And don't just create it and not look at it. Create it and look at it every day for like 15 minutes a day and create a new story for each one of those pictures. Do a picture and a statement. Create a story for each one of those, because right now your mind can't even grasp. That's where we want to go now. You need to create it. Have new affirmations, have new declarations, journal on these things, create your new life. Okay. Number 8, this one was a really hard one for me. So it is make decisions based on how you feel and not how the rest of the world thinks that you should live your life. And I have understood the feeling that's inside of me. And when I start making a decision that I don't feel good with, then sorry, I hit my microphone. I stop and say, okay, what do I want? What do I want in this life? What do I want in this circumstance? What do I want to do? And I go based off the feeling. If it's not a feeling that I'm feeling great about, I stop and I reevaluate where and what I want to do. So there's one thing that I do after my divorce. I walked 90 minutes a day every morning. It helped me to release stuff. It was really hard for me because I had anxiety really bad. And when I raised my heart rate, it would make my anxiety worse. It was kind of like a double-edged sword. But I did that and I lost a lot of weight. And now if I get on the treadmill to do that, I can't do 90 minutes anymore. Don't have the time to do it. I don't have my mind kind of like, we're not doing that. So I've had to reevaluate that. And that's just a personal thing. Another example is you're divorced, and so your family dynamics have changed. And you have to, for me, I always make sure, one, that I feel comfortable with the situation, two, that my children feel comfortable with the situation, and three, that my ex feels comfortable with the situation. Because even though he's my ex, he's my co-parent, and if I make him comfortable, it makes my children comfortable. So I go by based off what is best, even though we're no longer a family in the same house, what's best for our family in the future and the family at the time, which means it might upset some extended family, it might upset some friends, but it's okay. It's and our decisions have changed a lot. And so I go by what I feel good for my family that will create the least amount of drama that makes me feel good. I'm first, my children are second, my ex is third. Okay, number 9, learn to be okay alone. This was really hard for me because when I was alone, I just like crumbled to the ground and I was a sobby mess and there was nobody there to help me. And so I decided I had to figure out how to control those heavy duty emotions. And I'm going to create another video today. So I'll post it probably in the next couple days and I'll link it somewhere. I don't even know how YouTube works. Somewhere in one of the corners, I will link the video on how to stop crying because I created a thing for myself on how to stop crying. Okay, so learn to be okay. And I don't know how that looks for you. Maybe it'll look that you're going to exercise a lot. Maybe it'll look that you want to cook a lot. Maybe it'll look like, I don't know, that you want to rearrange your house every day. Learn to be okay with it and learn to be okay with what you're doing. Okay, number 10, educate yourself with new skills. So my educate myself with new skills sounds funny because I want to have something else to focus on besides my job, besides my children, besides my ex, as I'm learning how to create money online. And not only that, but I don't agree with a lot of the things online because they're like, find a lot of rich people and set a lot of things too. Well, I want to create information that I make that I could afford. Like I want to be able to create information that I would buy, not that a rich person would buy. I want to connect and help the average person excel in their life. That's my goal. And that's where I'm educating myself. Some people I know, I follow a few people online. There's this gentleman on YouTube, not YouTube. I think he's on Instagram. He's on Instagram. And he built houses. Like he taught himself how to build a house. He created new skills. There's other people that learn languages. There's like, give your mind something else to think about. So educate yourself, create new skills. 11. So these are my extra 2. And they're a little bit deeper than these other ones. So 11 is learn how to recognize patterns in yourself, the good and the bad. Don't just recognize, oh, do you like my pencil? That's my daughter's. Anyways, learn how to recognize the good and the bad patterns. I do a lot of journaling on this, and this is an energy thing and a really deep, when you get into the emotional and the energetic healing of generational trauma, generational healing, childhood wounding healing. Like when you get into that, and these are the classes that I teach one-on-one because these are really deep and I probably will do some videos on it. But anyways, so you can recognize these patterns in your life by journaling. Journaling is a big thing. Start recording things that happen. There's one thing that happens to me about every 3 months, and I have recognized this pattern before I was divorced, and it's still continuing. And it's funny because my ex used to play this person in my life, and now I have people that kind of come out of the woodwork and play this, and I'm like, play this part in my life, and I'm like, no, I don't know what is happening, but it's a pattern in my life that I'm trying to shift, even though it's not me that's doing it, it's other people. I know that it's inside of me, and I'm attracting that to me. It's like a mirror effect. And so anyway, so I'm trying really hard to figure out what this pattern is. And right now I just stop it. Like, I'm like, no. And I try really hard not to react to it. But that's a pattern. Another one can just be a pattern of you're sleeping in too much. Like you sleep past your alarm every single day. Recognize that pattern. Change that pattern, right? Wake up when you say you're going to. Give yourself, a list of things you want to change and change those patterns. They can be very basic, from when you eat, how much you eat, like they can be basic things. Okay. And number 12, and this one is where all of these things, it sounds like a lot of information. I've developed these things over the last couple of years, along with my energy healing that I do, along with my transformational coaching that I do. I've developed these things because that's what I needed. So, but this one is just all of it from the start of your divorce till the end of it. You need to let yourself feel your emotions. This mumbo jumbo about you have to always be positive and high and your vibration has to be high. What? You're going through one of the hardest things of your life of a divorce. You can't be positive all the time. What you can do is you can have set segments in your life that you're like, I'm going to process these hard emotions, but I'm working towards these things. You can't bottle up those emotions. It will create havoc on your life later down the road. So don't bottle them up. Don't get into this high vibe crap. Get into the healing. Get into healing it. Get into understand how to heal your life. Learn how to express these emotions in a good way. Learn how to understand when you're being triggered by your ex. Learn how to understand when you're being triggered by your children. And don't project your emotions onto other people. Like, learn to take responsibility for your own emotions. Learn how to accept your own issues. Learn to accept this. Sometimes, even if somebody's doing something to you, is it a pattern that you have that you're attracting to you? And what can you clear? That's really deep, but also you can't bottle, I don't know how many different ways to say you can't bottle up your emotions. You have to release them. You have to process them. You have to transform them. You have to create something better in your life besides these heavy emotions. And we're human. We have to heal from it. We have to heal from our divorce. So when you're like, well, I'm creating these new affirmations, but I have these really heavy emotions, guess what? You can do both. You can create your new affirmations and you can feel your heavy emotions. Your new affirmations, it will come easier and easier. And I really pushed myself to create a better life for myself. I really pushed myself to create new things in my life. And all the while I was doing these creation things, I'm also expressing my emotions in a positive, healthy manner. And that's what I have to say. If you would like to work with me, I will put my email below, and I currently work with just one-on-one individuals. So I am building my online program to go into all of this stuff into detail. So if you want to continue to follow me, just like and follow my channel. Thank you. Bye.